So we'll be talking about how we can build beautiful apps using Flutter and its powerful ecosystem. And a brief introduction about myself. I did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and I also did my undergrad from IIT Kanpur. I am the founder of Flutter Gems, and I've been working on it for the past 2 years. Post my MBA, I was a management consultant at Accenture Strategy, and post my undergrad, I worked with Flipkart. So let's get started into Flutter. So what is Flutter for people who are new to this technology? Flutter is Google's cross-platform UI toolkit. With a single source code base, you can deploy your apps across mobile, web, and desktop. For mobile, you can deploy your apps across both iOS and Android. For web, you can seamlessly access all browsers, including your Internet Explorer, Safari, Chrome, Opera, Firefox. So for desktop, you can again build your apps for Windows, Mac OS, Chrome OS, Linux, etc. So what happens is when you have a single source code and you can deploy across multiple platforms, it aids in faster development because your development cycle is going to reduce significantly. You don't have to write 2 code bases, say one for iOS and one for Android. Only with a single source code, you can immediately go and deploy across both the platforms. So this is one of the great advantages of Flutter. Secondly, Flutter has this awesome option called hot reload. Now, what happens in hot reload is it enables faster debugging, and because of that, it cuts your development cycles significantly. Flutter has this huge library of widgets, because of which we can build expressive and beautiful UIs using Flutter. Again, unlike all the other cross-platform frameworks that are available in the market, code in Flutter gets converted into native code. Now, what happens because of that is that you get a native performance and your apps works really fast. And again, it is based on a very easy to learn programming language called Dart, which was again developed by Google. So Flutter was launched around 5 years back in May 2017. It released its first alpha version. And since then, Flutter has simply taken over the world by storm. So you have your Google Pay, which was recently migrated into Flutter. You have apps like Edpunk, which is a mobile first learning platform for Bharat, which has been completely built using Flutter. Apps like Dream11, which you know is one of the biggest sponsors of our IPL game, was also completely built on Flutter. And this is the example of the scalability of Flutter. You can see Dream11 has more than 100 million users, and you can just understand the power and scale of Flutter. You have your Kite by Zerodha, which is again completely built on Flutter. So now let us undertake an app developer's journey. So what is the first step when you as an app developer go ahead and try to build an app? The first step is to gather requirement. So now how can you do that? You can gather your requirement, you'll gather requirement and you will try to build some kind of a mock UI. Now you can do that using pen and paper as shown on the screen. Or you could use some some wireframing tools, as you can see on the screen. Say a Balsamic or a Sketch, something like that. The next step will then be to break your app into UI components. Now you can do that using 2 ways. One, you can use the front-end component library, which has all these inbuilt things that you can simply put in your UI components, or you can build your design system from scratch or use an existing design system. So let's check both of these methods. So say a front-end component library, like you can see on the screen. So here you will have your plug and play kind of features, like say you have your header, your button, your checkbox radio, your control group, and you can simply use them, as you can see on the screen. And then you have things like your design system, which is a collection of documents, articles, examples, code snippets, screenshot, design guidelines, your components and philosophies and other digital assets. So design system is something which can be later on scaled depending on your requirement, which is why a design system has a very strong philosophy and a lot more ingredients compared to a front-end component library. So one of the most popular design system which you all must be knowing is the Material Design System by Google. And you have Atlassian design system, you have Uber's design system base. So as you can see, what you do here is you just do not give those plug and play features, but you also have the entire thing. Like, see, if there's a color scheme on the app, there is a way how you define the heading and everything. It's a system in itself. So most of these design systems, they have their implementation across various frameworks. So as you can see, Google's material design system has its implementation in Android, Web, Flutter, and iOS as well. So we'll be seeing material design system. So let us see how we can get started with Flutter. So we will see the local setup on PC or a Mac. So as you can see, you can visit flutter.dev. So if you want, you can check this website. You can go to flutter.dev and click on get started, as you can see here. Then accordingly, you can choose your OS depending on what OS you are using. Is it Windows, Mac OS, Linux, or Chrome OS? And just simply follow the instructions. The second thing that you will need is a code editor. One of the most popular code editors is Visual Studio Code. So again, you can head to codevisualstudio.com and install Visual Studio Code here. You will also have to install a Flutter extension, which is available in the VS Code marketplace. You can see that here. And now let us see how you can create a new Flutter project. So you'll have to click on View Command Palette, and there is this Flutter New Project command that is there. You'll have to click on this, and then you can create an application. You'll have to give the name to the project, and voila, your application is created. So in VS Code, you can also select your target platform. So you can see here it's macOS. So let us see how you can do that. So when you go here, you will have your device selection option to choose. When you click on this macOS thing, you can choose your device selection, and you can either choose a Chrome Web or macOS, a Pixel emulator, or an iPhone emulator, and you can go ahead with your debugging. So just give me a second. There is a Q&A. Okay. So I will be answering questions. You can ping me right now. If the question is relevant, I'll take up, or if the question is a little long, I will take up at the end of the session. So I am just adding my Discord link. You can also check the link, and you can also join the group, and you can ask me any questions you have. So you can check this Discord link. Okay. So now let's move ahead. So to run the app, when you go to VS Code, you can see that there is this run button which comes up. Once you click on it, your app will automatically get executed. So I'll take some questions on Dart. People are asking, is Dart hard to learn for an AI engineer? Dart is one of the most easy languages that I've seen. And it's if you have a fundamental language base, like if you come from something like Python, it is really easy to pick up. People are asking, can you use any other platform apart from Visual Studio? Yes, Visual Studio is just one of the most famous editors that is free and is used by a lot of other people. So I just showed the example of Visual Studio, but you can always go ahead and use something like an Android Studio or whatever code editor suits your needs. You can't see people can't see the Discord channel. So, okay, I will share it again. Do you need to learn Dart first for moving ahead with Flutter? Yes, you will need to learn Dart because Flutter is completely dependent on Dart. And without Dart, you won't be able to pick up Flutter. People want the Discord channel. So I'll just take a minute break here and I'll add the Discord channel. Just give me a second. I'll just mute it for a minute. So guys, you can confirm I have shared all the library. I've shared the Discord channel, so you can confirm if you're able to see it or not. So now I'll take other questions later on. Keep adding your questions. I'll keep answering them one by one. So let's move ahead now. So this is how you can run your app on your machine. Now, what if you want to use it online? So there is this awesome feature that Flutter has built, which is Dartpad. You can go online and you can write your code. So you can see this is how Dartpad looks. You have to visit it on dartpad.dev. And on the left-hand side, you can write your code, and on the right-hand side, you can see how it works. So for small snippets of code or for just to test something, Dartpad is really handy. Again, on Dartpad, you have a lot of samples and small pieces of code which is available that you can try out. And if you are new, it will give you a good example as to how it works. So now let us see what is the core philosophy of Flutter. So in Flutter, everything is a widget. And Flutter embraces component-driven development really strongly. So like, if you can see here, your app bar is a widget. The text inside the app bar, which is this Flutter demo homepage, is a widget. The entire app screen that you can see is a scaffold widget. For example, the button that you can see at the bottom is a widget. The image, the plus sign image that you can see, which is the icon basically, that's a widget. Again, the messaging that you see at the bottom, which says that you have pushed this button so many times, is a widget. The counter is a widget. Everything is a widget in Flutter. And Flutter embraces component-driven development really strongly. So now we will take a live example to see how Flutter works. We have this app called Street Artist, which helps us explore street art around yourself. And through this, we will also see how strong the ecosystem, Flutter ecosystem is basically. So you have this app, Street Artist, and the first step, as we discussed, will be to gather requirements and to make a wireframe. So you can see that this is the wireframe. You have cards arranged on the screen with images and a location at the bottom. Once you click on an image, an expanded view of it opens up on the next screen. The next step is we'll have to name these, we'll have to implement these widgets. So material component, we'll be using the material component design system, whose implementation is directly given in Flutter. And we'll be using these widgets. We'll be using an app bar, a grid view, a card, and an image. So let us see how our first iteration looks. So this is how our first iteration looks. You can see cards are arranged in a grid fashion, and you have an image and a location at the bottom. And once you click on an image, as you can see, an expanded view of the image opens up. So what happens if you look closely? What is the issue with this kind of a UI? So if you can see, the aspect ratio of the image and the aspect ratio of your card image is completely off. So what happens in this case is that your card image is giving a misleading picture of how your street art is. So clearly, this is not what we want. This is not something that we are looking for. So what will be a quick solution? A quick solution will be to try to make the aspect ratio of the card image and the actual image same. So what you can do is you can try to fit in your actual image into your card image. So let's do that. Now, the moment we do this, what happens is that your card image is giving me an accurate picture of the actual image. But the moment I do this, what is happening is that there is a lot of white space on the screen, and it is hampering the user experience completely. It just doesn't look as good as it should be. So a good solution will be to maintain the aspect ratio of the card image and the actual image. So this is how it will look. It looks good. It gives us an accurate picture of how the street art is. But what happens the moment we do this? The moment we do this, now we don't have a formal language to explain our UI. What do you call it? It's a randomized grid. Now we don't have a formal language defined in material design specifications to be able to express this kind of UI in words. Or say, let us take some other UI examples. Say you want to build something like this, a Pinterest kind of a UI. Do you have a formal word to explain this UI? No. Or say something like this. We have images on both the sides and a slider in between. What do I call this kind of UI? Do you call it an image? Do you call it a slider? You don't know. Then begins what we call the hunt. How do we express such UI configurations or custom components into words? So Dart and Flutter itself, they have more than 30,000 packages. And maneuvering this vast landscape to find the right package for your app is a challenging task. So now let us take these examples one by one and try to understand how we can solve them. So say you have an image slider, like we discussed, two keywords that I take from this UI, image and a slider. So what will be your first instinct? You'll go to PubDev and you will try to find image packages. So you write image and you hit enter on the search bar. So what are the options that you're getting? You're getting an image package. This is one of the most popular packages and they have listed it as number 1 in your search. But does it serve the purpose that you want? What does image live package do? It is providing your server and web apps the ability to load, manipulate, and save images with various file formats. Clearly not what we are looking for. Again, Octo image. It's a multifunctional Flutter image widget supporting placeholders. Not what we are looking for. Progressive image. It will progressively load your large images using low quality image placeholders. Again, not what we are looking for. Now let us type image slider and check. So, whoa, the moment you search for image slider, you get a package named image slider. But let's see what this does. This package will let you make an widget slider with full customization. So what it actually does, it is that it lets you scroll through images. If you can see the image on the right. But what we want the slider to move across images and not to scroll across the images. So clearly not what we are looking for. Or say even a Carousel Pro, the fourth option that they have displayed is not what we are looking for. We were never looking for a Carousel Pro. So before understanding why PubDev search at PubDev did not work, let us take a step back and try to understand how search at PubDev actually works. So search on PubDev is completely text-based and it is based on individual package scores. Now your individual package scores is based on three parameters, likes, popularity, and pub points. So what is likes? Likes is just a measure of how many developers like your package. And it's a very raw measure of the sentiment from your peer developers. Popularity, it's a direct measure of how many developers are actually using your package. And pub points. Pub points is more of a quality measure and it depends on factors like whether you have a good documentation, how much maintainability are you doing for the code, what is the platform support that you are providing, what is your code style, kind of stuff. So you didn't get what you are looking for on PubDev. So what will be your next step? The next step will be to go and search on various forums. You will try to put in your image of the UI that you are looking for, and you will try to explain in words that hey, how can I make such kind of a UI? And you will try to search for help from the community. Now, the issue with this is you may or may not get an answer. And even if you get an answer, the TAT or the turnaround resolution time is often pretty high. And we as developers are always crunched for time. So what if I tell you that there is a visual discovery platform that can aid you in your hunt? because as we all know that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. So this is where Flutter Gems comes to your rescue. Flutter Gems is a popular Flutter package landscape guide, which comprises of more than 4,000 packages currently, and they are neatly categorized into useful and popular, and neatly categorized into categories. So if you see, you have your user journey category, and you have a lot of other categories in it, like splash screen, onboarding carousel, feedback, app update, etc. You can see there are a lot of categories on it. You can head to fluttergems.dev to check out the website. Now let's come to our Pinterest UI that we were trying to solve. So if you go to Flutter Gems, you have this category called grid. And if you look at all the options that you get, you can quickly see that waterfall flow is the package that you were looking for. Like waterfall flow will be a plug and play solution for you, and you can quickly implement your UI design using this package. Now, what happens is, had you been using PubDev, coming to waterfall flow would be next to impossible. The reasons being, the name is different. You would have written image grid, card, you would have used words like that, but waterfall flow was not something that you as a developer would be able to think, or anyone can think. So the name is quite different, and though the package is useful, because of the naming issue, we wouldn't have been able to reach to it. And secondly, if you see, the number of likes are quite low. Now, why is this an issue? Is because a lot of developers might not have the same requirement as you. So which will result in low likes, and PubDev will not be showing it. But once you come to Flutter Gems and you glance all the packages, 10 to 15 seconds, and you will know that this is what you are looking for. And it will reduce your development time significantly. Again, the image slider that we were discussing, if you see before after package, it just does that what we were looking for. Again, the name is different, and coming to before after using the search term image slider would have been near to impossible. Now let us understand the product development process as such. The product development process, it's not a straightforward linear process where your product manager comes and gives the developers a requirement and the developers simply develop it. It's a collaborative team process where both the parties have to continuously interact. Now, what happens is, many times your product manager is not completely aware of the full technical capabilities of the framework that you're using. But you as a developer, say when you are scouring through Flutter Gems and you realize that there's a new UI category that has come up, a new morphic UI, and you realize that this is something that will better suit your app than the sort of UI that you are building. You can go ahead and pitch to your product manager and let them know, and actually contribute to the product development process as such. Or say something like a floating action button. In most of the apps, you will see a very standardized implementation of floating action button, but in Flutter, you will find a lot of varieties. Now, say when you are using Flutter Gems and you realize that various types of floating action button is there. Say, for example, like you can see a circular menu. You realize that this is again better suited to your app. You can again go ahead, let your product manager know, and as such contribute to the entire product development process. So let me just show you how the website looks. So this is the website. You can see there are a lot of categories. You can also search for a particular category using the search bar, or you can use the navigation button at the top. So this is the search bar. You can search for a package or a category depending on what you are looking for. And it will quickly give the result. And this is how it looks. You can head to fluttergems.dev to use it. Now, let us come back to our street artist problem that we were looking. So as you can see in this, using our packages like Flutter staggered grid view or waterfall flow, we can easily solve this problem. So now say that we have built the initial version using these packages, and now we want to add more features to our app to make it more usable. So let us start doing that. So see, you want to add a search location feature at the top, as you can see. Or you want to add a cluster map view, that when you just toggle, you get a cluster view of the street art instead of this view. Or an animated floating action button, as you can see at the bottom. Or a very simple feature like a social media reaction button, where users can post their reactions. So say you want to add these features to your app. Now, if you want to rebuild, if you start writing from scratch, it's going to take a lot of time. And usually we are on very short deadlines to meet and build new features. So let us see how Fluttergems can help you. So as you can see, you can use your location place address picker package on Fluttergems. And just a glance, you can see there are a lot of packages that are currently meeting your needs. Depending on your UI, depending on your theme, you can choose them. But say Google Maps place picker is the one that will exactly fit your requirement. It's just a plug and play for the thing that you are looking for. Now, let us try to add the second feature, which was the toggle button that we were trying to add. So there's a category called switch. And if you see, again, you can have various variations of your toggle or switch button that you're trying to build. And you can choose any one of them. Now, the third feature that we were trying to add, which was the cluster map view. So using the navigation button, if you see, we'll be going to geolocation and maps. And if you scroll through all the packages, yeah, you found the one that you're looking for. So if you closely look, Flutter, that's the exact package that we were looking for. And this is the kind of UI that we were trying to build. So again, this will give you a plug and play solution and you can easily implement it. Now, the second last feature that we were trying to build, an animated floating action button. So again, floating action button is a category on Fluttergems. And if you go through it, you will find a lot of packages. And let's see, do we find the one that we are looking for? Yes. So now if you look at animated float action buttons, this is the exact thing that you were trying to build. So you can simply use that. The last feature that we were trying to add, social media reaction button. So we have this category called chat block social media UI on Fluttergems. And let's go through it. Yeah, so if you look at this Flutter reaction button, this is what we were trying to build. And you can simply use it and create all your features and requirements in the shortest time possible. So let's now go ahead and say that you were looking for a particular feature or a particular package, but you couldn't find it, neither on PubDev nor on Fluttergems. So how do you go ahead? So the best way will be to either contribute to an existing project or to make your own project. So let us understand how can you contribute to an existing project. So whenever you see a package, do not fork it first. Like your first instinct should not be to fork it, because forking any open source project is a major responsibility. So always try to contribute before you fork. So you can select a package and you should suggest enhancements on it by raising an issue. Send across your pull request to the project owner post discussion. And only if the open source project owner is not replying or is not giving you or is not listening to you, or your issues are not getting prioritized, only then fork it. Because remember, once you fork it, the entire responsibility of maintaining the fork project is in your hands, and it's a great responsibility. So let us understand how you can release a new package on Flutter. So say if you couldn't even find some package that sort of meets your requirements, and you realize that you have to develop something from scratch. So let us see how we can do that. So when you release your new package, remember the most important thing for your package to be adopted by the community is documentation. You have to treat your README like your Tinder profile. It has to be short, succinct, and exactly tells what the USP of your package is. You need to have a well-documented API. And always remember that you must add micro examples instead of a large monolith example. Because what happens is your package might offer a lot of features. But say I, as a consumer or a user of your package, might be looking to use only a few of them. So if you add small examples, for me as a user, coming to the decision that I should use this package is much easier compared to you adding a very large example where I have to figure out whether it meets my use case or not. So always add small examples in your documentation. So this is an example of a good documentation and a bad documentation. Never write a new Flutter plugin in your documentation. That is like that README just serves zero purpose, and you as a user will never understand why how we can use it. So if you see URL launcher, their README is succinct and to the point. It says a Flutter plugin for launching a URL in the mobile platform and supports iOS and Android. So just make sure that your README is perfect. Once you release a package, you also have to maintain it. Just releasing it is not work done. So whenever you release a package, you have to consider it as a responsibility. It's just not a piece of code, it's a responsibility because people may depend on it. And open source is always a work of responsibility because a lot of people depend on it for their day-to-day activities. So always set up a testing and a CI/CD pipeline. So for testing, you must have unit testing, where you test a single function, method, or a class. You must have widget testing and component testing, where say you test a single widget. You must do integration testing, where you test your complete application or say a large part of your application. And always set up your automated testing using CI/CD tools. Usually CI/CD tools are free for open source projects. Some of the most popular ones are listed here: Fastlane, Cirrus CI, Travis CI, Fledge. Travis CI is the one that is used by the most number of open source developers. The last thing that you have to set is you have to set your release frequency. So always try for a major release every quarter. And you have to update your changelog.md file with each new release. And you have to list all your important changes that you have done, like what are the new features that you have added, what is the change in the existing functionality, what are the soon to be deprecated features that you're going to remove, what are the features that you'll be removing, what are the bug fixes that you have done, what are the security updates that you have done to combat any vulnerabilities that your users have faced. It is important for you to become a BDFL for life. So you have to set up your guidelines for repository contributors. And you can do that by adding a contributing.md file in your repository. You have to respond to all issues and pull requests so that the community can also participate in shaping your package. And you need to become a benevolent dictator for life and let the community shape the future of the package. So that's it from my side. You can follow me on Flutter Gems and Ashita Prasad. And on Discord, there is this Dart Flutter channel. So the Discord link is displayed on the screen. There is the Dart Flutter channel, which you can join. So I'll be taking up questions. So People have asked, how can we start with app development in Flutter? I'll start from the first question that I get. My LinkedIn and Gmail. So I'll put my, so you can, so once you go to Flutter Gems, I'll put the website here. So this is the Flutter Gems website link. And my LinkedIn, people are asking for my LinkedIn. I'll also give you that. How can you start with app development in Flutter? So I gave you a basic overview as to how you can get started with Flutter as such. So you have to go to flutter.dev, and for basic examples, you have a lot of cookbooks that you can see. So that is for beginners. You can do some of those cookbooks and tutorials, and you will get a good hang of what Flutter is. They have a really good documentation on widgets, and it will help you. So I will recommend that is how you start, and always start with a live example, because once you only if you read, you will not be able to understand that well. But if you also develop alongside, you will have a really good grasp of Flutter. Can you use any other platform other than Visual Studio? I did answer that question. Visual Studio is one of the most popular free editors, which is why I just showed an example. You can go ahead and use Android Studio, or you can use any other editor that you like. Dart is one of the most easiest languages, and it is not hard for anyone. If you're an AI engineer, I presume you will have a background of some language like Python, and it is very, very similar to Python once you start learning it. Then people have asked, are you the creator of website of fluttergems.dev? Yes, I created the website. For these, the next question is, for these ready packages, are they plug and play with minor adjustments based on our needs? Is this free or subscription based? So all these packages are free. Most of them are free, actually. Usually, they are not paid because they are open source. So you can actually plug and play them. And this is where your Flutter ecosystem is really powerful. Everything is free. Flutter Gems is free. There is no subscription or anything. Isn't fork meant to use a package or project offline? If one forks it, means he inherits full responsibility of a project in general, not talking about Flutter, but other projects as well. So when you fork it, actually, you fork it because most of the times what happens is the open source owner has stopped maintaining it. So they are not replying to your basically pull requests, your issues. And that's when people start forking a project. And the issue is that once you fork it, and say, for example, in Flutter, you fork a package and then null safety became mandatory. Or say Flutter gets gets updated to a new version, like currently it's 3.3. So what happens is when you fork it, you will have to sit and update your code, which becomes a very big responsibility. Whenever Flutter is getting updated now, you will have to go back and make sure that you are relevant. So, which is why you must try avoiding forking it, because otherwise the open source project owner usually makes sure that the project is updated. The last question is, how can you connect to APIs via Flutter and Dart? So again, now for APIs, like example, if you ask me for a chat API, like something like say Stream, or for a payment API like Razorpay or Stripe, you usually have, you actually have those packages on Flutter if you search, and you will get their SDK, which will help you connect them easily. And I don't find any other questions. So if you have any other questions, you can ask me. So currently, this is how, do you have stepwise videos to explain basic development? Basic development of what? Of Flutter app or using Flutter Gems? So Flutter Gems is actually really easy to use. It's a visual platform, so you shouldn't have a lot of issues using it. And in terms of Flutter, you can find a lot of material online. And as I tell you, Flutter has a really good documentation, so you must go and try to check their cookbooks and their tutorials as well. So another question is, can I use TensorFlow model in Flutter? Yes, you can use TensorFlow model in Flutter. So there is this package called TF Lite, which lets you use TensorFlow model in Flutter. So usually what I suggest is when you have questions like this, go to Flutter Gems, and TensorFlow model is your machine learning model. Just type in machine learning in the search bar and check. And you will find a lot of packages providing various models, various integrations with Flutter, which can make your life really easy. So any more questions, guys? So one person, can you write the package of TensorFlow, please? Sure, guys, I'll do that. So I'll give the link where you can see. So if you check this out, you can see a lot of packages giving you ML related packages, ML related features in Flutter. So I've given the link of fluttergems.dev machine learning, and you can see TF Lite, you can see Google ML Kit, you can see edge detection. You can also see for what platforms they are available. So it should make your life easy. I am new. The next question, guys, I'm new to Flutter. How do I keep up any materials? I think what you mean to say is, how do you keep updated? So basically, to keep updated, keep checking their original websites, and again, a lot of material is available on the internet as well. So usually whenever Flutter releases a new version, they also have a complete documentation and a complete guide as to how you can like what are the major changes that they have done, what are the things that they have deprecated, what is it that you need to do to keep your code updated. So they usually explain all that really well. So you just need to keep checking and just keep reading it. That's it. And usually if you use packages, so if you see on Flutter Gems, for example, what we have done is all the null safe packages are automatically pushed to the top, and packages that are not null safe, which we do not recommend you, which are not null safe because say the project owner did not update it, are automatically pushed to the bottom, so that you make the right choices. So I also have one question. Someone's asking, is SciPy also available? Yes, SciPy is also available. So what is SciPy? It gives you math utilities. So there is this category called math utilities, and there is this package called SciDart, and you can find it there. So I've again shared the link of fluttergems.dev math utilities, and you can see a lot of packages again are there. You have your math expression, vector dart, matrix for transform, your SciDart, which is your SciPy version in Dart. So yes, you have all these. So just, if you have any doubts, just go to Flutter Gems, figure out, just check all their categories, and you can figure out what package you are looking for. Yeah, thank you, everyone.